Hello and welcome to this week's UK Dispatch. Now on the show today we're going to be meeting the undisputed leaders of the Gothic movement. That's the Sisters of Mercy and the Mission. Now Wayne Hussey used to belong to the Sisters of Mercy, and then the band split up, he formed the Mission, and Andrew Eldritch teamed up with Patricia Morrison and kept the same name, the Sisters of Mercy. So here is the original lineup with a song called Walk Away.
And in the summer when the clouds come through, I might go the same way to with you, and I could talk together. Well, what am I supposed to do with you? And I would walk together, then we'd always close around, and now you gaze toward the doorway when the weather comes falling down. And when the rain comes down, would you choose to walk or stay? Would you choose to walk? Would you choose to stay? Would you walk, 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 walk away?
Obviously the Mission was born of Sisters of Mercy. What were your views on how the split occurred?
Oh, goodness.
It was inevitable. It really hinged on when and where it was going to happen. And we knew it was going to happen at some point. And there was a bust up and we went our separate ways.
Mm. But was it quite acrimonious? I mean, Andrew Eldritch would probably suggest that it was.
Well, I think any relationship, when it ends, initially, there's always a feeling of bitterness and resentment. And I think, yeah, at the time there was. I don't feel any of that anymore.
Mm. Do you think
it's 2.5 years since I was in the same room with him.
Really, that long?
Mm.
So what about all this business about the names, that you were originally going to call it Sisterhood or...
Yeah, well, we were put in a situation where really we had our backs up against the wall and we couldn't do anything, so the only way out of that was to antagonise. So that was part of the strategy.
What, you had your backs up against the wall leaving?
Well, yeah. Pardon?
Leaving, that it was a problem?
Yeah, well, we couldn't make records, we couldn't go on tour, we didn't have any money. The record company wouldn't release us. They wouldn't, let us do anything. So we figured just make life difficult for them. In the end, they'll let us go.
Do you find it peculiar now you're both back in the charts at the same time?
It is quite a nice feeling, actually. I was hoping that Andrew would be doing Top of the Pops with us today, but he's not.
What would you have said to him if you haven't spoken to him for 2.5 years?
I'm not sure. Probably hello. And taking it from there.
Part-time lovers, the spinning rooms. sign. Oh, there in the twins, speak of days and another place. I wander as the gypsy under a beckoning moon. Speak of time and another face. A wailing languid cry, a fleeting furtive sigh. From the cradle to the grave, a love to desire and crave. Stay with me, lay with me, lay down by my side. Stay with me, lay with me, take me deep inside. Lay with me, stay with me, lay with me, stay with me, stay with me.
Tell me about what happened to the fans when Sisters of Mercy split up. I mean, Gothic fans do tend to be quite a loyal bunch. Did they come with you? Did they stay with the Sisters of Mercy?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think initially a lot of them came with us, and also went with Andrew. I mean, I don't think it really boils down to that. I think it's very likely that a lot of them like both of us. I don't know. Obviously, there's going to be a division somewhere.
But it must have been quite tricky, you starting out on your own and wondering if everyone would be really peeved about the fact that you'd split up with Sisters of Mercy.
Well, that wasn't really a consideration. It was just something we wanted to do. I mean, it wasn't like, you didn't sit down and think, well, we split the sisters up, what can we do now? I mean, I fell into the job of singing. I was a victim of circumstance in that respect. It just so happened that I had a better voice than Craig.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
God, you don't seem to have done too bad now, is it?
No, I'm getting better.
From my window, and I can see the years to come. I live for the burn and the sting of pleasure. I live for the sword, the steel and the gun. Over this land, over this wasteland, over this land, over this wasteland. You can touch, but please keep your distance. You're innocent and pure, and with no shame. The spirit is willing, and the flesh is great. You tease and you taunt, with the pleasure of pain. Over this land, over this wasteland, over this land, over this wasteland.
Now, I know you've recently completed a tour in America. In fact, just come back today. Was it a pretty gruelling experience for you?
The flight back was. The tour itself wasn't. It was quite good fun, actually. It was a lot more fun than the last American tour. But then this one was only quite short. It was good.
I remember reading somewhere that Craig came home sort of during the last American tour. What was all that about?
Well, he just flipped out, really. It all got a bit too much for him. he cracked, so we sent him home. To have a haircut and a rest.
So what did you do when you were playing live?
We got one of the roadies to stand in.
Really?
He did a remarkable job.
Oh God, was Craig a bit worried?
No, not really. I think he knew his job was safe.
And what was all this about a pledge for you to give up illicit substances and drink, etc.?
Yeah. I've given up drugs, but I'll still drink. On the odd occasion.
The Mission's latest single, Tower of Strength, comes from their new album, which is called Children, and that was produced by the former Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones.
You raise me up when I'm on the floor. You see me through when I'm lonely and scared, and I'm feeling true to the written word. And you're true to me. Still I need more. It would tear me apart to feel no one ever cared for me. You are the tower of strength.
So back to the LP then, Children. How does it differ from God's Own Medicine, would you say?
I'll let Simon answer this. I don't know what
Different
talking.
cover.
It's got a different cover. Oh God.
No, there's a lot more to it than that. All the songs are different, and
I think it's a more mature LP. It's more of a band LP.
more mature LP.
We spent a lot longer making it for a start.
What about the lyrics? Are they of a more personal note?
I think they're a lot more. I think the lyrics have always been quite personal, but I think they're a lot more defined this time. I think the first LP they were a little confused. You know, it was a new area for me. I was like finding my way.
Now, quite an appropriate title for the LP, Children, given the birth of your baby Hannah. How has it changed your life?
Drastically. I mean, it's affected me a whole lot more than I anticipated doing so. But well, it shifts all your priorities around.
Do you feel much more of a responsible person?
Not essentially, no. I mean, I don't think responsibility comes into it because it's a pleasure. But there are other considerations now that maybe weren't there before.
How are you planning to bring her up then?
I don't think you can really plan to do something like that.
You must have some ideas about the
Well, it's
things
the best that I can. You know, that's all I can do. I mean, it's new to me. So, you know, I'll learn as I go along. I'll make mistakes.
You are my faith, my hope, my liberty. And when there's darkness all around, you shine bright for me. You are the guiding light to me. To me.
Fortunately, Andrew Eldritch and Patricia Morrison, the current Sisters of Mercy lineup, hadn't just flown back from the States, so they were a little more lively, although only just. Now, the current lineup of Sisters of Mercy has obviously changed quite a bit, and obviously a lot of things were said about the split being quite acrimonious. Was this true?
It started off very amicably. There were very good reasons for the band in its former state to dissolve that everybody was very happy with. It was only after that that there was some dissent about who should be called what, and then it got sort of strange. That was when I got to meet a lot of lawyers. People keep sending me their lawyers, and I don't really get on very well with other people's lawyers. Luckily, I get on fine with my own, so...
They tried to call themselves Sister of Mercy, did they?
They did. They did.
But even the Mission is a derivation of a song, isn't it?
Yeah, the next Sisters album was going to be called Left on Mission and Revenge. It was I suppose the thread which was to link the album was a street map of San Francisco, like a chessboard is the thread which links Alice through the Looking Glass.
Now, after the dissolution, there were a couple of rumours about you being dead or just disappearing and all this sort of thing. What actually happened?
I went away to put some weight on.
Had you been ill?
Yeah. We'd done a lot of touring, and I was a shadow of my former self by that time.
And then Patricia stepped in. What do you do to improve matters with Andrew?
I also at that same time was in the same situation that he was as far as health-wise, although since I am a much bigger girl, I was in much better shape, but it was time to change and time to move on. And we work well together and are quite good for each other as far as that health situation.
Patricia stops me doing all those things that musicians like to do, which are very, very bad for you.
I was trying to say it very politely.
Now, on this Corrosion, you employed the talents of old Jim Steinman, who's probably better known for his work with Meatloaf.
Well, not now.
Now he's got even something else to live.
Now he's going to have to make another album with Meatloaf, which I think he's about to do in order to top what he's just done.
Was it his idea to get in the 40-strong choir on this Corrosion?
No, it was our idea. He was the only person that would go along with it, which is why he did the project.
And didn't you multi-track it over and over again?
Yes, there's an awful lot of voices on that record.
Were you pleased with how that leapt up the chart?
It was very gratifying. Yes.
How important is the charts to you?
Not very.